Hi, this is the Black Bear Prepper, and today we're going to be going into a new section of our YouTube channel, which is going to be kind of more arts and craftsy, but really more do-it-yourself items you can help with the Scouts. So this would be something you can build at home, that you can do fairly reasonably, that is a good thing to have for Scouts. So we're going to have a new segment on that. We're going to be doing the knife like we've talked about with the Sawzall knife. We're going to be doing some small survival kits. This is an individual first aid kit. Now the Scouts have to have their individual first aid kit and go on a trip to get their first class merit badge. This is kind of the kit I've put together. It's a little different than the one that they've put inside the Scout book. I think the one in the Scout book, it's an individual first aid kit. You can't have everything in the world in there, but I think that we can improve on some of the things they've done. Okay? First off, we want to talk about a 3-minute kit. What's a 3-minute kit? 3-minute kit means we have 3 minutes without air or blood, and then we die. So we want to be able to patch holes and get the people back breathing, things like that. So first of all, we have a SWAT tourniquet. Now these are my own design of SWAT tourniquets, which you'll see all over the internet. It is a tube from a bike tire. So just a bike tire that's been split open, and we'll show you on another video on how to use those, but we just take them, split them down the center, roll them up, and now we have a usable tourniquet that is cheap. You can basically go to all your stores and get a cheap tourniquet, and they really do work very, very well. They're, the wider it is, the better they work, and they're very wide. And they do work for all kinds of other things too. You can use it for putting on splints, things like that. So that's your first part of your 3-minute kit. Second part of your 3-minute kit is your gauze pads along with an ace bandage. That's going to be able to be multi-useful. One, we've got some 4x4s here and an ace bandage here. I'm able to do a few different things, but this is basically a compression bandage. If you look up Israeli bandage, if you look at our video on Israeli bandages versus the North American Rescue version, basically you can put the Band-Aid on there and you're going to wrap it to add pressure. So that's kind of an interesting thing. We'll show you on another video on how to use that. Being able to tape people up, things like that. The other thing we're going to do is if we have a chest wound somewhere in the neck, kind of your collarbone down to your belly button, we want to put an inclusive dressing on there. Now, inclusive dressings are very expensive, but we can make one. We have our Ziploc bag here. We're going to go ahead. We can actually cut this into 2 of them if we have a through-and-through wound. Let's say we're out hunting. Let's say we fall on a big stick and it punctures our chest and we pull off of it. Now we put a hole in our chest. So we want to be able to, stop that. We go ahead, we put this on, we take our duct tape or our athletic tape, we tape 3 sides on the front. That allows it to let air out and close, basically with a flapper valve, to stop bleeding coming into the chest. So, do I think this is going to happen for most of the Scouts? No. But it's a 3-minute kit. We have 3 minutes to make these decisions. So it's important to have the basics with you to be able to do multiple things. Now, the smaller the kit, the more knowledge you have to have. It's easy to do things when you have all kinds of equipment. You've got a full ambulance full of stuff. Well, you've got to do all kinds of things with very minimal. So we've gone away from our 3 minutes. Now let's go to probably the most common thing that's going to happen in the woods. We're going to talk about blisters and sprained ankles. Blisters are basically friction caused. So 90% of the time, if we catch it in time, we can stop a blister from forming with duct tape. We're going to take that spot, we call it a hot spot, we're going to be able to put duct tape right over the top of that. Let's say it explodes. We can use super glue. The non-gel super glue is just like new skin. I can sit there, I don't want to pop that blister, but I can sit there and squirt that sucker down. Now, if I was worried about maybe a blister popping or something like that, I could add a little bit of petroleum jelly. This is Vaseline brand. And I can put that over the blister, and then I can put the duct tape over the top so it only stuck to the area that wasn't the blister. So that would kind of be something you could do. I am not a big fan of moleskin. Moleskin is in the kit that's in the kit that's on the Scout Handbook. Moleskin works. I always end up putting duct tape on anyways because the moleskin doesn't stick. And again, what happens when that sucker starts moving around on your skin? It causes blisters. This is also a little slick, which helps a little bit, and it's dual purpose. I can use this for all kinds of stuff. You know, next thing, sprained ankles. Sprained ankles. So behind blisters, sprained ankles is probably the most common issue that's going to slow people down to a point of where they're going to be crawling on the trip. We have an ace bandage here. Lots of videos online. We're going to be showing you some videos and some basic ankle wraps with ace bandages. Also, if you have some basic skills, this is athletic tape. If you learn how to wrap an ankle with athletic tape, you can really actually make a much better sprained ankle wrap with athletic tape. It does hurt a lot more to get off, and it tends to pull off skin, but if you're on a trip where you're doing 10 miles a day or something like that, and you've really got to hike it out, the ace bandage is not going to work half as well as this guy, and you just wrap it up and leave it on. You know, definitely something to think about. Now, let's say that we do have, we want to deal with our heat shock and, you know, any kind of sprain like that. We want to be able to add ice to a sprained ankle as soon as we can. That's going to cut down on swelling so we can get the boot back on. This is an instant ice pack that we've, what I call field stripped. Field stripping an instant ice pack basically means I'm going to take an instant ice pack. I recommend buying them at the dollar store. They work just fine at the dollar store. And normally what you do is you'd crush, there's a little bag of water inside, and it has these white crystals inside. The white crystals, once they react with the water, end up activating and causing it to be cold. Okay, this is great also for heat exhaustion, where you can put it on the back of your neck. You can put it on somebody's forehead to calm them down. Usually we try to put it for heat problems on the back of the neck. But for sprains, broken bones, things like that, ice is a definite thing to have. Any kind of big, you know, hits, you know, they fall down, any kind of thing like that, ice is always a great thing to have. The problem is they weigh a ton. They make lots of noise while you're hiking, and they tend to pop in your bag. So as soon as you tighten down your bag all nice and tight, the thing pops. So what we do is what we call field stripping. We take it, we put it instant cold pack on there, and we just take the water packet out so we don't have to worry about it busting. Now, usually you're going to have water with you when you go on the trip, hopefully. So what you're going to do is put about 50-50 mixture of water to beads. So you're going to add about that same amount of water to the beads, let it set there, and it will cool right down on you, okay? And that way, now I've got something that I can roll right up. One thing I do recommend you do, though, is buy the freezer bags, okay? So they don't break on you, because it kind of sucks when it leaks all over the place. But the freezer bags tend to hold up really, really well, okay? Next thing we're going to be talking about is severe bleeding. Severe bleeding. You know, again, we're getting back into pressure is always our most important part. Pressure. Getting the item elevated above the heart. That's going to slow down the bleeding. But again, ace bandage and a gauze pad. We can also use our tourniquet if we have multiple injuries. If we have injuries on a leg and an arm and we only have one ace bandage, we can use an ace bandage on one and your tourniquet on the other. Not the tourniquet to actually cut off the blood flow completely, but to put pressure on the band-aid. So it's not, we can use that both ways. It can just be a wrap by itself. Now we are going to be showing you how to do that. Next, cuts and scrapes. Simple. What we're going to do in the kit, so we're going to have one ace bandage, 2 feet of duct tape. I like it folded over like this. I buy the big rolls and I just fold it in little 3-inch sections, so makes it real simple. I don't like the little wraps because there's not that much on those guys. A tourniquet, a roll of athletic tape. This is optional. You can kind of use the duct tape to do most things. You know, I would rather have the duct tape than the tape, you know, the athletic tape. Not the end of the world, either one, if you don't have one or the other. One of the ice packs, we're going to have 3 4x4s, okay? The reason is because a lot of times we're only going to be out for a trip, but what we want to be able to do is put multiple ones on top. So we don't remove them. We're not sitting there checking it every 5 minutes. We put it on, we wrap it. If it starts to bleed, we add another one, okay? And we can add another Band-Aid, you know, another 4x4 right on top. Knee-size Band-Aids. This is something that, you know, I like for knees and elbows, something to have there. Now, why do I not put like 3 different sizes of 4x4s in here? Because 4x4s can be cut. It's way hard to stretch a 2x2 into a 4x4 size, but it is easy. I'd rather have 3 of these than 1 4x4, 2 3x3s, and 1 2x2. I would rather just have 3 of these guys, and I can cut them into any size I want. Okay, fairly cheap. I like buying those at Winco. Walmart sells and Winco both sell a product. These are latex-free Band-Aids. They're the version that is the fabric style Band-Aid. And I like the fabric style. Just make sure you're getting the latex-free. Second is your standard Band-Aids you're going to use all the time. 3 of those. 3 of your medium-sized Band-Aids. And 3 of your like fingertip or 4 fingertip Band-Aids there. Okay? Alcohol packs. This is for, you can use these for lighting fires, you can use them for all kinds of things, but they do work really well for just cleaning up the area as much as we can if it's a scrape. So sometimes scrapes usually end up with dirt and things in them. Burns. So we want to talk about burns next. Burns, we want to keep it sterile, but we want to keep things from actually sticking. So after we've ran it under cold water, you know, filtered cold water, purified purified water, we can use Vaseline. Vaseline is petroleum jelly. We can put that directly on the area. That's going to cool, soothe, and keep the Band-Aid from sticking. Okay. We also want to watch really close that we do not use ice water with burns. You can cause frostbite because now you've actually, you've damaged the skin. It's not able to hold out that cold like it was before. So you can actually really cause damage by putting ice water on there. Cool water. Just our kind of a tip. This guy is also great for chapped lips. You know, this kind of has a dual purpose. I want everything in my kit to do multiple things. Next thing, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about these little tubes here. Now, these little tubes, they are straws, okay? Now, what I've been able to do is instead of buying for each one of my boys in my troop, instead of buying a tube of Vaseline or a tube of this or a tube of that, I could actually take this tube of Vaseline and I could actually squirt it inside and then seal it. And we're going to show you how to do that in a second. Now, this particular one is anti-itch cream. We buy this at the dollar store. I can get 10 boys worth of little kits worth of anti-itch cream in there in one tube of stuff for $1. So definitely something to think about. So I'm going to take the tube off. This is something our oldest came up with. Basically what you're going to do, you're going to take it, you're going to slide it all the way in the back. You're going to leave the ends. Do not crimp the ends yet because you need it to be able to get the air out. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to slowly add and then back up. Okay? Now we've just put, you know, an inch or so in there, and that's actually a ton. You know, this stuff goes quite a little ways. You can put as much as you want in there. We're going to take our pliers, crimp it off. We're going to go ahead and use our lighter here. If I can get our lighter to handle the wind here. Once I've got it really well melted, I'm going to go ahead and move out to the edge and crimp that guy off. That's going to allow that sucker to just seal up perfect, okay? Then I go up here. I always make them a little bigger than what I need them to. So it's a little easier, especially on the products like anti-itch and Neosporin and things like that, to make them a little bigger. That way you're not getting the product slipping out. Now if you don't do what we've done here, which is, so I'm able to sit there and go ahead and crimp the end. And then I write what it is, okay? And this is anti-itch, so I put it on there. I could also put the milligram, or I could write on the back with whatever it is. This is now a waterproof container. I don't have to worry about this spilling inside my kit. I don't have to worry about it coming open. I don't have to worry about it getting wet, anything like that. So something definitely to think about. I put Orajel in there. You can also buy that at the dollar store. They make an Orajel product in there. I can squirt 3 or 4 boys worth of supplies, plenty. I mean, that amount of Orajel right there will last you 2 weeks with a toothache or bee stings it works on. Putting it on as a topical painkiller for bee stings and insect bites. Again, anti-itch for all your poison oak. It's basically a Benadryl product. You know, I'm not going to get too far into this, but something to take care of itching. So poison ivy, rashes, and mosquito bites. Something definitely to have there. And then a triple antibiotic ointment, same deal right here. We can just clip off the tip with our scissors or our pocket knife and we can just squirt it out. But I can usually get 3 or 4 of these little kits out of $1. So instead of buying a $1 kit for each person and having a thing that they don't really need. I used to sit there and squish them all out. You know, I'd take the kit and I'd roll them all up. So all I had is I only take just the tip here. Now I take these guys, works a lot better. Super glue. Definitely bring super glue with you. Again, it's basically a cheap man's new skin. Or liquid Band-Aid, you know, type deal. The other thing, this is optional. Definitely with the age of your boys is going to be having to deal with that. But for my personal kit, I put the pills in there. Instead of buying Tylenol in the little individually wrapped bags that get wet or whatever if it gets wet, I put them inside the little tubes here and then I seal them off. So I have 4 500 milligram Tylenols in there. That's great for lowering temperature, painkiller type deal. I also put the milligram amount. Those are 500 milligram. These are 200 milligram ibuprofens. So again, I've got 4 of those in there. Aspirin, when you talk about dealing with heart attacks, something to think about. We want to do 4 aspirin. That's basically a 1 dose. Have them chew it up. That's going to help with heart attacks. So some of you older guys that are trying to hike on these trips, you might have a heart attack. So it might be a good idea to bring something for that. Benadryl. Benadryl is great for people that have anaphylactic shock. You know, they end up not realizing something's in the food that they thought. This is something you want to talk to parents about. Make sure you're only giving these to your personal children. But if that parent decides they want to have something like this is something you can help them make. Now, let's say they also have another medication. Maybe they have a medication they need to take every day. They can actually make these individual, you know, and just write Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on them. And they know, okay, that's my son has to take this one every day. Something definitely you want to check with parents. Don't be giving out medications when you haven't checked with them. But, you know, it's a good idea. Like my boy happens to be in my troop. I'm able to do that. Okay, so Benadryl, great for, you know, poison oak, all kinds of things. Definitely something to have. Okay, so this kit basically all goes into a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Again, I like the heavy-duty freezer bags. So what I do is I take my spare Ziploc bag that I can, like I said, I can use it as inclusive dressing. I can use it for all kinds of things. And I put all the things that technically could leak into that bag. So I'm going to protect it from getting in, you know, and it's a little easier to get in and out. So I put my super glue in there. You can get these little super glues at the dollar store, the tiny little single-use ones. You can get these guys, and they're really, you could use them multiple times. But the little single-use guys, you get 5 of them for $1 at the Dollar Tree. Go ahead and seal that guy up, put him in there. You know, I've got some Pepto-Bismol tablets. You can get those, again, dollar store, Walmart all sells them for about $1. Not a big deal. Take my Band-Aids, put all those in there, and I try to stack them all in size, basically, what I'm going to use. Put my duct tape in there, my 2 types of tape. Put my 2 wraps in there. And my ice pack. You'd be surprised how many times I use these ice packs. I can go ahead at this point. I can roll it up. Now, could this be a smaller patrol kit? Maybe we're just going on a day hike. Absolutely. Does every single boy need to carry something like this? No. but it would be nice to have at least a couple tourniquets and some, you know, you could take out the tourniquets and the ace bandage if you wanted to, or even the tape. The rest of the things, I think every single boy should be carrying these. That's your extra band-aids, your pills, things like that. Those are all items that every single boy should be carrying with them. A little bit of duct tape. Things that are kind of more optional, the athletic tape, the tourniquet, and the ace bandage. Somebody in your group should be carrying these items though, okay? This could be in your patrol kit. I think it's easy enough and light enough that every boy should be carrying these, because a lot of times you'll have, if you have a trauma type situation, maybe you've been in a massive car accident, maybe you pull up on one. Always be prepared, something to have with you. But I like having lots of ace bandages and lots of tourniquets and definitely some tape there, all around a good idea. So this is the Black Bear Prepper. I'm talking about individual first aid kits. Please subscribe, please leave your comments, and tell your friends and tell us what you want to learn about. The next video we're going to be talking about will kind of be on the same lines as our DUI, or DYI, not DUI, kits. We're going to talk about the reason we did not put a triangle bandage in there is because we're scouts. We should be carrying a scout handkerchief. Now, why put a class on there that's useless? Let's put a mini first aid kit. That's going to be our next video coming up, and kind of a teaser down the road. We're going to be talking about one of our gear reviews that's coming up is going to be the SE6. This is a knife that we're going to be talking about, decent fixed blade knife, kind of my favorite fixed blade knife, and we'll be going over that. So that's kind of your teaser for one of them if you want to see some of our more prepping type videos. So as always, have a great day.